Hey, what's up? This is Toby with Shoot the Messenger, and today we're going to talk about the inauguration. All right, so it's January 20th, 2025, and it is inauguration today. And Mr. Trump is in office officially, and a lot of people are upset about it. Some people are happy about it. It depends on what side you are on, I guess, what side of the fence. How are you feeling about it, Mr. John?
Well, I think President Trump's going to do a great job.
I do too. I do too. Not everybody feels that way, but I think there's a large amount of people out there that do that people don't want to admit, if that makes sense. There's a lot of people out there that want to, especially in this community. I think we both know that he's not the most popular man around. But
You're talking about this liberal cesspool
yeah,
around here?
Yeah, I sure am.
Oh, yeah, I would tend to agree.
Yeah, see, it's not the easiest thing to talk about in the city with people without them getting defensive. I mean, you can bring up all the good things about him you want. You bring up anything good that he did, they're just going to try and counter it with something bad. So why do you think that is? Why do you think it is that nobody wants to like him?
I think that part of what happens is when you're villainized in the media, it sticks. You could take, for example, like you look at different rising stars and you see them projected in a positive image of them over and over on different media outlets and different TV shows and different social media platforms, and they rise up quickly. People start dressing like them, acting like them, admiring them. But as soon as they're villainized, then the angel falls from heaven, and it falls hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean, I've done experiments on that before, like on Facebook, where I'll say, "I love you" or something. That's it. I love everybody or something. And no, you get like 5 likes, and then I could put, "I hate you." Everybody's dirtbags, and they'll get 100 likes. And I've always been intrigued by the fact that people are more interested in negativity, almost. If that makes sense. It's like it draws more. The drama just draws more out of people for some reason.
I think that realistically, I think you're dealing with more primal emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And you ever notice, like, when you're in high school or elementary, and then say there was a fight out in back of school, and then just a mob shows up to watch the fight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But a mob doesn't show up to watch some kid win an award.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah,
no, that's a great example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a positive thing. Mm-hmm. But somebody's gonna get their head thumped, mm-hmm. right, and get the crap kicked out of them. Oh well, I want to go. Who is it? And actually, the whole school's out in the back.
Yeah.
Same thing for high school. Like for now, as adults, if you were somewhere at a restaurant and 2 guys were going to square off, right? Then all of a sudden, all the some guys might try and break it up, but a lot of people, you'll get a crowd around immediately. Mm-hmm. But say there's say for example, somebody is celebrating that they won a prize for whatever type of scientific achievement, and they're a restaurant, people would be like, "Oh, that's boring."
Yeah.
No crowd would jump around that.
Yeah. I mean, I know even my friends in high school, if you were like, "Hey, I got graduation tonight. You guys all want to come watch?" They wouldn't be happy I was graduating. But if I told them, "Hey, I'm going to go get in a brawl tonight over across the street," they're all going to be like, "Hey, I'll go watch." So I totally can relate to that. This is definitely...
It's a primal.
Yeah, people are definitely more into that. But with the whole Trump thing, I've never really understood what it is exactly, though, that people don't like. Because I remember when he was, like, back in the day in the 90s, everyone liked him. I mean,
he was admired.
Yeah, he'd go on TV shows, and everybody thought he was awesome.
People, he did guest appearances on, what was it, Home Alone, mm-hmm. right? I do believe it was Home Alone.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2. And he did a guest appearance on that. He was somebody you wanted him to show up at your party, or you wanted to go up and shake that man's hand, right? And he was a high-powered businessman, mm-hmm. right? and he was, well admired. Well, when he stepped in, here's the kind of the catch-22. You're damned if you fly and damned if you don't. When he stepped into the political arena, right?
Yeah.
When he came down that escalator, everybody thought it was a big joke. Like, yeah, haha, this guy's just doing this for attention. This is for media exposure. Remember all that conversation?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's the president of the United States. And then everybody's losing their mind. Right? And then, like, obviously he had some, quote, locker room talk, and they thought that would get him out of the race. Right? It didn't. There's a lot of things that, that, what was it Arnold Schwarzenegger said? I didn't live my life to become a politician. And I think Trump loves and embraces this country. Whether people out there agree or disagree with him or not, he loves and embraces this country in his own way. And I think that when you're going against the grain of what one side wants versus what the other side, what their agenda is, they will villainize you, and they will get anything they can, any dirt they can about you, and that way they can discredit you, and then they can get rid of you. And I mean, it was one hell of a mud flinging contest. I mean, well, he's an overwhelmingly, the man got voted into office, and he didn't fake these votes. He didn't fake the electoral college, and he got elected.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, you get people like The View that just love to trash him, but I mean, he said many times, I used to be friends with those ladies. They'd all just decided one day they didn't like me anymore because they're on the other side. And I think that there's a lot of pressure by companies, big corporations, money, big money, that has a lot of people not really telling the truth. I don't necessarily believe that every single person out there, all these TV shows, all these talk shows are out there that are trashing him. I don't think they really hate him the way they act like they do. I think that there's interest involved, and that they just don't want to make the wrong person mad. They don't want to make their boss mad, or whoever it is that they're is in their pockets.
Well, I also think that a lot of, like, the anti-President Trump stigma or train that started to kick into gear started because it was the cool thing to do amongst the people you're talking about. In other words, it's a mob, right? There's a fight in the back. Hey, guess what, everybody? It's Trump versus social media, what have you. He's going to take a thumping. And then all of a sudden a mob shows up because they want to see, him take a fall. And the guy duked it out with the media. He duked it out with everybody, and he prevailed.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your opinion? I mean, do you think I'm...
No, I agree. It's actually pretty impressive how he has survived this. There's a lot
tough
of
boy.
I don't think there's a lot of people.
I'm tough man, I should say.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people that could have really withstood all the crap he's gone through. I mean, there's just been a ton, and I mean, I'm sure some of it's true, some of it ain't. It is what it is. But he just gets dragged through the mud everywhere he goes. I mean, look at all the lawsuits they hit him with. That was insane. I've never seen that happen to any president.
Well, that too.
They were just trying everything they could to destroy him.
Well, that, again, if you don't want somebody, a voice to be heard, you come up with, well, this person said this word in 1985. And they find 5 people that are at a party, and this person said this word, or this person did this, or this person magically, some person they knew from 20 years ago. Well, I was at a college party, and I saw this person inappropriately touching other people there, right? But it never came up other than that, but I'm pretty sure that, to grease the wheels, I mean, there's special interests that find dirt and help grease the wheels and help to discredit somebody. I don't think anybody, like, got out of bed when they were like 4 years old, like, well, I better make sure that I never say anything socially inappropriate. Always be, and because that's not how life works. But as you grow and go through epiphanies in life, and you change your ways throughout the years, and I do believe this describes President Trump in a lot of aspects. He has a love for this country, and he has a burning passion and burning desire to get things straightened out. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. And I'm sure it's going to, cheave a few people off.
Hmm.
Right. But at the same point in time, again, he didn't live his life to become a politician. He was a businessman. And when you get money, right, and, I'm just going to say this maybe from a little bit of my own experiences, you get money and you have things, uh, situations follow.
Yeah.
So, they just do.
Like, do you think that if Oprah became president, you think everyone just would have just attacked Oprah because she don't think that she should be president? They think she should do
Oh,
talk shows?
I think that
Like,
it doesn't matter if it's right or left, right?
yeah, I just wonder, like,
Oh,
is
they'd
it the
slice her up.
is it the wall that caused this? I guess that's my question. Because a lot of times when I get into any kind of debate with somebody over it, because if I talk to any of my buddies that are on the left and they're like, hey, you know, he's a racist, Trump's a racist, and I always say, why?
Yeah.
I always say, well, why do you feel that way? I'm not trying to discredit him. I'm just like, just what's your reason for it? And then they always say, well, the wall. And I think, the wall? You think trying to keep fentanyl and the cartel and human trafficking out of our country is racist?
No,
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't really
and
understand
people
that.
and people say that's insane, because and my heart goes out to the people of Mexico, right? And what's happened down there is you have an environment where, and and let's face it, right? The cartel people who run these cartels, they're smart. Okay, I guess that's maybe a politically incorrect thing to say, but they didn't get where they needed to be by being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They're ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
That's an understatement, by the way. And all at the same time, they're inventive, and they're also ingrained in the economy of Mexico and different South American countries, because they are a major employer. They are, moving a lot of money, and they have a lot of clout, and they have a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
But it speaks volumes that what happened in a lot of, like, governments, when these factions were rising up, the governments didn't invest in the economy of having, like manufacturing jobs, or like, and I hate to say this, but China invested a lot of money into building plants for manufacturing. And yeah, they're a communist country, but they're almost like adjusted communism, because if you think about it, they're pretty capitalistic, but it's all state run, right? But Mexico got themselves in a position where they didn't, and I don't believe they invested enough in education in their own system, and the cartels, because when you don't have money, and you have some kind of a commodity that can make a lot of money, what are you going to do? Well, then you have yourself a new, enterprise or a new venture, whether it's legal or not. It's making money, and again, people, and those organizations rose to the ranks. You have structure, and if you think about it, it's hard to say how much money the cartels and what have you probably bring in, but I bet you they bring in quite a chunk of the economy that fuels those areas. They're a major employer. They're a major, legal or not. And but you think about that much
Yes.
power and that much money, right?
Yeah.
Who you don't see UPS, right? And this might sound a little funny, but I'm just going to draw this analogy. You don't see UPS making submarines to deliver their packages, but the cartels do.
Yeah.
You don't see, all the inventive ways to get illicit drugs across the board. And fentanyl, is a in my opinion, fentanyl is a dead end drug all the way around, because it's too dangerous of a drug to mess with, and it kills people, and it's killed a beautiful friend of mine. It killed her daughter. And again, it's this all being fueled by money. And the thing is that all these governments, these Mexico and South American governments, these these entities have risen up and they're now ingrained in the economy and they have so much power and they can make things happen. They can, I mean, if you think about it now, you reverse the flip side of the coin. Come up to the United States and start talking about politicians that are going to get elected. You have like billionaires donating millions of dollars to campaigns, right? For obvious, for reasons, because they're going to get probably some type of a favor out of it, right? Something in the long run. If you get that, it's the same formula that we do here politically, except down there they use it to suppress the governments and law enforcement, so those organizations stay in power, and they're not going to go. They're not going away.
It's almost like, I mean, this is a pretty nasty comparison, but the cartels almost run it like the Nazis were. Like
They're very efficient.
they're literally walking in and they're just taking over. Like they'll kill you if you don't like what they're doing. They don't care. They will walk in your
ruthless.
homes. Yeah, very ruthless. And I mean, a lot of me and Casey were talking earlier about how a lot of them that are coming over here, when they get caught by Border Patrol, they're like, hey, I don't care what you do with me, just don't send me back there. I don't want to be there. The cartel has ruined my life. I don't want to live in Mexico. So they're like, get me out. I don't care what you do. You can throw me in jail, whatever. I just don't want to be there. And that's when I realized, man, it's terrible there. These people do not want to be there. And that's why it's kind of a catch-22 with the whole thing, because you got a lot of people that are sensitive to that situation. But then you have to be America first at the end of the day, and that's where Trump is. Trump is like, I'm sure I feel bad for those people.
I'm sure
you know,
President Trump has a bigger heart than he admits.
I totally think he
Yeah.
does. I totally think he does. I mean, it's the quality of human being that he is, that you hear about. I mean, obviously it's hearsay, but I've heard he's never drank a lick of alcohol in his life. He's never smoked a cigarette in his life. The guy, I mean, he's always tried to be a pretty decent human being, as far as I've heard. I know he's a womanizer. I know he's got his things, but hey, a lot of guys, exactly, and especially guys with money. Like, I mean, you're talking about elite guys. When you're talking about guys at that status too, you already know how they're going to be. It is what it is. I mean, some of us are. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just jealous of that, to be completely honest with you. But the locker room talk, that is life. That I've never held that against him. I've always felt like that was petty, very petty, for someone to secretly record him talking about grabbing a girl by whatever, just because they want to make him look bad. When, I mean, people might not want to hear this, but guys say stuff worse than that all the time behind closed doors. It's not in any kind of weird way. I think people know that, and that's why I can say this on camera. This isn't a secret. People know guys can be perverted sometimes, so it is what it is. I just honestly feel like people just poke at him. Are constantly looking for things, and I've never can get anybody to give me any valid reasons. And because people think, oh, you're just a Trumper, you don't want to hear anything bad about him. I that's not true at all. I've asked a million people, hey, what is it? I mean, just give me one decent reason, and they just can't. There's never anybody that can say, Toby, this is what it is. And then, and so it bugs me.
He's getting into office now. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. The Republicans have the majority of the Senate, correct?
Yeah, they do now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then Congress is like almost what, like?
Not sure.
Okay, because I'm not sure on that one, but I think he's in a much better position.
But I think Republican took both, but I'm not sure.
I think you are correct.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are tight races.
Yeah.
But I think he's in a much better position now to get things done that he wants to do, agendas, and I think that J.D. Vance was a good choice. Now, for Secretary of State, I'm sorry, for Vice President. Excuse me, for Vice President. And Rubio's a good choice for Secretary of State. At the same point in time, I think that you have to remember you are who you associate yourself with. And a lot of people I saw a bumper sticker the other day. I hate Elon Musk. Well, let me throw this out to you. Why do you hate Elon Musk? Okay. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are like, oh, how can I respond to the show and talk about that? Well, here's where I'm at with that. The man's done more in one lifetime than some people have done in five.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that he's done is, in my opinion, has been positive. Uh, Tesla with electric cars. Some people like, I hate electric cars. Well, why? Because there's a tax difference, or we're shifting towards something where we're not having to put money going towards governments who pump oil out of their sands, who hate us and help sponsor terror on the back door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's who would you like to give your money to? You want to give it to somebody making electricity, or would you like to give it to somebody who wants to blow you up? Okay, that's where I'm at with that. SpaceX has advanced dramatically what they're able to do. They make NASA look like a joke. They do. They do. I'm a huge fan of it.
That's why Trump was so big on Elon, because he couldn't believe the things he was doing.
I think that where America needs to be, one of the things that Elon's working on is the Boring Company, and that's where you're making tunnels underground, and you're looking at having what's called a hyperloop, where you have it's a train, but it's rounded. It floats on a maglev system, and it shoots through a tube like a bullet. And there was like old sci-fi movies that had that, and there was a Gene Roddenberry one. I do believe the movie was yeah, it was. I have to look it up. It was a Gene Roddenberry movie. I remember as a kid seeing it. I'm the same age as Elon Musk, or within 2 years. I think he's 59. I'm 62, and he saw a lot of the same things. Gribble was saying, watching the same shows. We're in a stage of the game now where America has a failing infrastructure, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't know. Have you seen anything built back better? Anything? How the bridges looking, man?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they look like something I can't say on camera, right? They do. They're a joke. I see some construction, but we're also dealing with an economy where it's an economy. It's overinflated pricing. What during the 1930s, during the Depression, a lot of the major roads, Roosevelt put people to work in the New Deal era, where people started were put to work and started building roads. We got to get back to our roots as Americans. This country is not going to make it. This is not the country I grew up in. This is, you go down, and I love Portland. Okay, Portland's a cool town, but you go rolling down there. Portland's the city of bridges. It's more like the city of rotting bridges. Everything down there. There's no paint. Things are corroding. Anybody who's worked on a vessel that's on the water, you can't have corrosion on metal, especially with structures like that.
Well, if you think Inslee's bad, then you know what's wrong with Portland.
Well, yeah, but here's the mentality that we have.
Worse than Inslee.
We on the West Coast here, we've been dealing with a situation where homeless people who are addicted to drugs, it's now our new normal, right? It's the new normal. We can walk out of this studio and go maybe a block and encounter like people that are freezing, addicted, and on the streets. The root cause of this, and when I watch the news, I don't see news shows saying homeless addict population. But there is the majority are homeless and they're addicted. They have substance abuse and they have mental health issues. Or you have a breakdown of kind of like a pie. This amount are addicted, have addiction issues, and this amount are mentally ill. Again, we have a system in America where America is turning into a third world country here on the West Coast because we don't have. I mean, everybody's like, "Well, what do you do with them?" Well, I don't know. I mean, if you can invest $96 billion to help another country fight their war, why can't you invest 10% of it here in America?
Yeah.
Why can't you? Why are there people freezing and dying under bridges because they can't get services, or with law enforcement can't do their job and force them into a situation where they are caught with drugs, and rather than yo-yoing them out of court, they go somewhere they have rehab. And I think that what you're seeing out of getting back to topic, I think President Trump is a tough love kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, agree or disagree?
No, he definitely is, and I think that's why he rubs people wrong. I think it's just his attitude, it's just the way. I mean, I bet if you talk to his children, they're just gonna tell you that's just how my dad is. He's been that way his whole life, you know.
Well, the man grew up in a affluent family. I mean, rose up to power through real estate, and I would imagine real estate in New York is a cutthroat business. I would have to say that he's used to drawing the line with people and drawing the line fast.
Well, he really made people mad when he said, "I got a small loan of $1 million from my father." That burned some bridges.
Wasn't it? I think it was a little more than a million.
People were, yeah.
It wasn't $1 million.
People were like, I think it was small loan, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a little more.
Yeah.
So
we got a special guest on the show with us today, introducing Squatch. What's up, big guy? So today we're talking about Donald Trump. You a big Donald Trump fan? Oh, he loves Donald Trump. So, how long have you been a Donald Trump fan? Oh, since you were born. So, how long have you been? How long you been in this area? Are you from Olympia? Oh, okay. Nice. Dumbwater. He's like, yeah. So, where's your friend Yeti at? Skydiving? Oh my god.
wait a minute. So let me ask this question. So you have a friend Yeti? Yeah, and does Yeti have proper documentation to enter the country?
What? You don't have your green card?
Wait a minute. That may have been a problem.
He said, I'm fucking out of here. Because I've had enough.
Well, everybody, that was a very unique interview.
So we met Squatch on the street, and he wanted an interview today. So we brought him in. We knew he was a giant Trump fan when we met him, but I wanted to hear what he had to say for himself. And from that interview, you can tell he's definitely a Trump supporter. Back to the inauguration stuff. One of the reasons that I particularly am a Rubio fan was not a lot of people. I'm kind of a, you are who you hang with type of guy, you know? And when Rubio was so against Epstein, when all that happened, when Acosta let him off years ago in Florida when he first got in trouble, and Rubio was like, you can't do that. That dude's a bad person. It made me like Rubio. It showed me that Rubio's head's in the right place. It showed me that the guy has morals. and that someone like that he didn't want to see get let go. And I like that. But then you had someone like Acosta who was like, nah, let's give him a deal. It was a kid. It was his first time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's got this reputation. He didn't care. He's got money. Let him go. I'd like that Rubio was like, no, I don't care who he is. People like that need to get in trouble. So I've always been a Rubio fan because of that. I feel like Elon and is it Ramaswamy? Is that how you say his last name?
You know what? I'm not going to attempt that.
Okay, so
but you know who we're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, he's a very, very smart guy. Another person that I actually said to my mom when Trump was running for president that I wouldn't be mad if he was president, because I was like, I said Ramaswamy is really, if I'm saying that correctly, very, very bright, very smart, very intelligent. My mom personally felt that maybe he was not ready at this point in he's a little young and not ready, but I think he's brilliant. And I think that the fact that Trump brought in these people that all have such strong minds around him to kind of, he built a really strong team around him. And I'm excited to see what's going to come from it. I mean, I am expecting big changes, though. And what these big changes are, I don't know. I know that when Trump originally ran, or was going to, I don't know if he did run in the late 80s or 90s, but he was going to run under the Reform Party. And then he switched to the Democrat Party for a little bit. And then he ended up running and becoming president as a Republican. But my original, his original party that he was big on was Reform. He ran with the Reform Party. And now you hear Elon talking. Elon's always talking reform, reform, reform. So really, you can kind of tell I'm getting the vibe that there's going to be a lot of reform, a lot of big changes.
Well, if you think about what 4.5 years ago, where it was, I mean, people were talking about that we're going to have a civil war.
Yeah, yeah.
And hopefully, that'll never come to be in the United States. But at the same point in time, I mean, and whether people like Trump or not, okay, they like him or not, the man got voted in by the popular vote and by the Electoral College. Mic drop, end of subject. Whether people like him or not. And no amount of breaking windows or doing stupid things like that are going to change the fact that he's president. He today sworn in. That's it. If you look at the logistics of the thing, with about legal immigration that we've had, there's 1.3 million illegal immigrants in the United States right now that have been slated to be deported. Okay, so if you think about, they're actually on different types of programs, and these are not the ones who have any paperwork. They have paperwork somewhere in a file that says they should be deported. And just the long arm of the law hasn't gotten to them. All right, so you think about 1.3 million. If what I understand, when people come here across the board, they're given $2,000 cash.
I don't know.
I know they give them all kinds of vouchers. But the thing is, me as an American citizen, if I fell in hard times and I went down to DSHS or someplace like that and said, I don't have any money, I'm dead broke, I'm on the streets, I need help, I need housing, I fell on hard times, I know I don't have a drug addiction, there's really nothing they're not going to do for you. I mean, you're get an EBT card for like $200 or $300 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that going to do? You don't have you don't have a kitchen to cook food.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's $200 or $300 a month going to do? Take out food and from gas stations. You burn through that money like nobody. Again, we don't invest in Americans. We don't invest in America. So I think a lot of people, like this immigration issue, people are seeing this issue and they are furious.
Yeah.
There was people, folks, when I remember the governor of Arizona getting up in Obama's face when he landed in Arizona, and she was lit. You could see the anger. Because, I mean, there's cattle ranchers, and they've got people cutting through their land, and they're transporting drugs, and they're transporting people. They're trafficking people.
Yeah.
So we've got a situation that's out of control.
Yeah.
So no matter what Trump's going to do with this whole thing, President Trump's going to do with this whole thing, immigration, and a lot of people are going to hate it. Mark my words, you're going to see on the news where ICE is going to come to some apartment complex, and there's going to be kids, and there's going to be drama, and people, being torn, or dragged out of an apartment or dragged out of a house. And the media is going to have a heyday with this thing.
Exactly. And that's one thing that people at home need to know is don't believe everything you see. I mean, you're going to see a lot of stuff from both sides. And at the end of the day, that's not all true. You're not going to see a bunch of stuff about not everything you see you have to believe. Just think for yourself and it'll take you a long ways. I mean, because at the end of the day, you got people fighting over who they should vote for, who's a better choice, who isn't, and then they lose friends over it, and they're fighting on Facebook over it, and it's all, at the end of the day, it's just all silly. It's a waste of time. I mean, this is kind of a sensitive subject, but just today, he signed the executive order to make 2 genders again. And a lot of people are freaking out. And that's the thing. That is such a sensitive subject in this country at the moment that, Trump, you're either on that side or you're not. Trump's going to sign 50 executive orders in this next week. So people are upset. But how many did Biden sign when he first, I think it was hundreds in his first week. And he was overturning everything Trump did. So that's just how presidents do it.
Yeah.
My big thing about presidents that really bother me is the whole pardon stuff. It's just,
Well, I know Biden
yeah.
pardoned a bunch of somebody told me pardon Fauci.
Yeah.
Why would he pardon Fauci?
I know, it's insane.
What did Fauci do something? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like that's like kind of mob boss kind of thing. Excuse me for if the mafia is looking right now, I didn't mean to upset you guys, but yeah, I mean, that's like we know you committed a crime, so we're gonna pardon you now.
Yeah.
Before the law enforcement gets to you. So what's the story with that?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Pretty weird. I don't know.
We're in new times with America.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I know that stuff's been going on for a long time, but everything's so in your face now, So you can't do stuff behind closed doors as much anymore because the internet's just going to tell on you. So,
well,
and sometimes it's true, like I said, sometimes it isn't, but I mean, it is what it is. So, well, all I can say is I really hope that because majority of America was really behind Trump this time, I think way more than last time. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the only reason that certain states even ended up somewhat half and half was because the big cities were winning. The Los Angeleses, you know what I mean? The New York cities were winning. Kamala was winning, which was making her look like she had a lot more votes than she was actually getting as far as countrywide. Because when you looked, I mean, Washington State, you would have thought no matter what, Trump lost, he was going to lose Washington State no matter what, right? Because there's
the Washington
nobody
State always
here
goes blue.
Yeah, but if you look, really, besides Seattle, it was all red. Washington was all red except for Seattle. So Seattle and this little area, King County, all was against him. But the all surrounding areas of Washington all voted Trump. And that surprised me because I was like, wow, it just tells me that I'm not being told the truth.
Speaking of which, let me get your opinion on something. This is a landslide election, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Electoral college.
Definitely.
Right? Landslide. Mm-hmm. Right? No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
You think somebody monkeyed with the last screwed around with the last election?
In my opinion, yes. Yeah. Yes.
After seeing this, I have serious doubts now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Serious doubts.
Yeah.
So I never was like, one of those stop the Steelers, kind of like people. But after seeing this,
yeah,
it kind of makes you have a moment of pause. I believe, was it Kurt Russell? Goldie Hawn's
Mm-hmm.
guy, famous actor.
Yeah.
One of my era of
Mm-hmm.
like Disney actors and that kind of thing. He said he made a comment about it. I read about that.
Hmm.
It gave him a moment of pause. To, like makes you kind of wonder.
Well, it kind of gives me hope that the amount of people that don't like this guy is so exaggerated that like
Mhm.
even the protests and stuff aren't going to be what people are making it out to be, because I do think that a lot of people switch sides. I think Biden pushed a lot of people over, and I don't know how that played into politics. I don't know if that was a bigger plan. I don't know, but I do feel like Biden being such a strange individual, that's the nicest way I can put that, uh, pushed a ton of people away. They just were like, I can't support that. That is crazy.
Let me roll that back just for a second about strange individual.
Yeah.
Matt, can I ask you a question, like a serious question from
Yeah.
one brother to another brother?
Yeah.
Man, what's up with the hair smelling with him?
Yeah.
Smelling little kids' hair, smelling
Yeah.
women's hair. What's up with that? He's like, it was like scratch and sniff time.
I know.
What was up with that?
It's creepy because there's just more and more videos kept coming out of it. You'd see one where he'd smell the little girl's hair. Then he'd make the comment about, I love it when little kids rub their legs up, play with my leg hair. And he makes these weird comments.
Oh my God, I'm gonna get sick.
Yeah, he makes these weird comments in public. And imagine if Trump said those things.
Oh, they crucified him.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why I tell people, just think for yourself. You can tell things aren't fair. They're not fair and balanced. People are always going to freaking
I
do
think
that.
what you're looking at is the media and social media is being used to influence the minds of Americans. And I hate to say this, people don't want to consider themselves like sheep, right? You hear the word sheep a lot. Sheeple in the last, around COVID and that kind of thing, which was a game changer for the United States and the world. But when you think about it, I mean, a lot of people like, oh, I heard this on the news, so it's true.
Exactly.
And that's how a lot of governments like Russia keep their populace under control.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, in Ukraine, a lot of Russian soldiers were told that they're going there to liberate the place from Nazis. And the Russian people, unfortunately, when the Nazis, the Wehrmacht and the Luftwaffe, pushed into eastern parts of Europe, they pushed deep into Russia, and the Russian people suffered greatly.
Yeah.
Right. So it's in we've never seen foreign soldiers blowing up, fighting, house to house and building to building to keep people out. My father fought against the Nazis.
Yeah.
In Greece, right? A lot of stories from him, but we've never seen anything like that here. They have those memories deeply ingrained in them. There's a deep hatred. You say that we're Nazis around Russian people, you're gonna like, oh yeah, let's go get them right now. So they told them that there's Nazis in Ukraine. Yeah. And a lot of the Russian soldiers that were captured, like, word of the Nazis.
Yeah.
But this, I don't think that this is and with Russia or whoever it is, a person who's in power, they'll use mind games to get the masses on their side and get their agenda done.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what media's always been for.
It's a
like
tool.
We can go back, for centuries, and I feel like it's been just used to kind of, I mean, listen, if I tell me and you come up, if we figure something out, right? Say we got nosy and we figured something out. And then the next thing you know, we're trying to tell our friends. All it's going to take for them not to believe us is for the news to tell them different, right? Because the news is going to say, oh, this, now all of a sudden, John and Toby, they're not valid anymore because the news is definitely going to trump us.
I'm pretty sure we'll get some backlash from this episode.
Yeah, like we don't hold any weight compared to the media. So when the media says it, it's gold. It doesn't matter if we had proof, facts, pictures, receipts. It wouldn't matter.
Well, I would like to make a point. I do believe people that run podcasts and do this type of thing I would like to make a new term called micromedia.
Okay.
I'll coin it
Yeah.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're the micromedia. We're also the people, the voices of Americans, the voices you don't hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the unseen Americans,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you
Exactly.
you pull up and here in the Northwest or California, you'll pull up, you see people holding signs. They're starving,
Mm-hmm.
and they have addiction issues, or they have mental health problems, or something's got them in a situation where they're at. Let's just go with that.
Yep.
But it's so like normal, matter of fact. You just like look, and you see them, and then you unsee them. You look and pretend they're not there, and you're just holding your steering wheel like I don't want to give them any money.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same point in time, it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
But you don't see the media focusing on that around here, do you?
Yeah.
No, not at all. But say, for example, if Trump was to put his hand, and let's say he was at a dance, and he put his hand maybe towards a woman's like bottom part of her waist,
Mm-hmm.
media would be like, oh, it'd be on social media, it'd be all over, because they want to villainize him as much as possible. So whether it's Trump, whether it's a nation of people, whether it's you or me or whatever, if somebody's got it out for you, they use the media as a tool to villainize you and defamate you and discredit you because they don't want your voice to be heard.
Yeah.
That's all it's about. And it's called freedom of speech.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, they don't want your voice to be heard.
Yep.
And that's what, when he came down that escalator, nobody took that guy seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if you go look into a lot of stuff, I mean, I can't tell you how many like ex-CIA people I watch, FBI people I watch that are speaking straight from the source that tell me really crazy stuff that I'll be watching on YouTube or whatever. And then people just don't want to listen because it's good information. It's good stuff. I mean, you can go and find the actual from the source and go, wow, this is interesting. But then they're like, nah, I don't want to hear it from the source. I want to hear it through third-party media who's just going to taint it anyway. And that bugs me. I wish there was somewhere that we just knew we could trust.
You mean media that tells you how to feel?
Yes.
Right? They play dramatic music like, oh, you know, I was watching one channel, it starts with an A, World News,
mm-hmm.
and they have this really dramatic music, and it's almost like it's melancholy, like, oh my God, that's, you know, and then they run the background music,
Mm-hmm.
and it crescends up and crescends down. And a lot of my back when Trump was his first term, one of my friends was an avid Democrat, and he went Republican. And I told him I watched that World News, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he was like furious at me. And then I said I watched another news organization that starts with a C, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the Communist News Network." And I'm like, "Where's this coming from?" Yeah. So I started looking into watching different like BBC and different media and actually comparing. And a lot of the other ones didn't invoke emotional responses. And a lot of what you're dealing with now is news that they've learned how to invoke emotional response out of their viewing audience. They do it with visuals, they do it with the music connected to it. And again, if you have an agenda, and let's say, you know, you're on team A or team B, it doesn't take much to smear mud all over team B if you're team A.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all math. It's division.